What is up, Rebel colonists and Mars citizens? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode we're returning to frozen Teardrop. Last time the perfect Zex files were created and Sally dived into them. There was a colony dropped removed from the records, and Elev, Noin, and Zex, along with Odin Low, helped save the Earth. Of course, history would never know of this. This time, the barge attacks and Relina surrenders, but before doing so, she dives into the perfect Zex files. Duo survives the Maxwell massacre, Dekim Barton steals a lot of the rebels, and Odin Low and Little Heero go on their last mission. So let's get into this. A giant beam blast comes roaring in, doing minimal damage to their ship. We have shifted focus to Naina's perspective. On the Isidis Plains, the mobile fortress Babel transforms into a dodecahedron. It folded completely flat before transforming into its final form. The book even has little diagrams and everything. The beam blast is the Zwolfswerg. The Drazwerg converges energy onto a tetrahedral point which amplifies the power. So the Drazwerg isn't a Proto-7 dwarves. The Zwolfswerg is the Drazwerg on a bigger scale, which creates a giant lattice of light. So it looks like a rave kinda. But if the rave light's vaporized everything it touches, don't go to the danger rave. It is 80 times stronger than the Drazwerg. The beam blast hits Relina City. No evacuation warning. A chunk of the population is just gone. An AI image of Zex shows himself representing the Southern Mars Confederate States. Naina's team have 12 Mars suits making up the Merciless Fairies, and 700 Virgo units are stationed on the outside waiting to attack. That's 58 and 1/3 Virgos for every Merciless Fairy. Naina wonders if they could take them. Then she gets a call from Professor W, who is finally awake after fighting Vaunt Kushirada. Relina has shocked Pikachu face when she realizes total pacifism led to death. She has to surrender. Professor W tells her to wait until she recovers all of her memories first, but she surrenders anyways. The terms of the surrender include the dissolution of the Federation and to hand over Relina Peacecraft. They accept the terms. Most likely they will execute her for her war crimes. Heero and Noin accompany her. She hopes that Heero will be the one to do the executing. If anyone else executes her, half the population dies once PPP is activated. We know that they are delaying the perfect peace program, but did they ever set up that Heero had to be the one to kill her? She says that he is the only one to carry it out safely, but that's vague. Heero already read the perfect Zex files and now knows of his past. Relina needs to restore hers as well, even if she dies. They talk about Vaunt Kushirada. Heero knows now that the Neuenheims were responsible for the Vaunt clone. After the assassination of Vaunt and Angelina, Trace changes into the person he becomes in the anime. This event also made Neuenheim a vengeful person, which led to the MO satellite falling on Mars, which all leads to the perfect peace program. Noin shares in the guilt as she thinks she could have prevented her brother Disnoof from turning evil and becoming Zex. Remember, Zex is Disnoof Neuenheim in the presence if you forgot. During this novel, they mention the heart of space, which I believe is essentially the answers to the universe, which is vaguely mentioned by Catra in the anime. It is like a Newtype seeing through time in UC. The Zero System seems to know the heart of space. Like the universe, the Zero System just takes action. Heero says it is weak people who take that action as gospel. It's an excuse for their actions. He refers to himself and Catra being consumed by the Zero System as examples for why humans are weak. That's right, even Heero Yui, the greatest person in After Colony, is weak compared to the universe and the Zero System. It's hard to believe. Also, Catra's attempt at creating a form of Zero System Newtypes in this universe is shut down by Heero in this moment as nonsense. AC-188 Spring in the L4 Colony Cluster Sector. Elev and Zex messed up on the trajectory of the MO7 satellite that struck Mars. The two thought less of humanity after that. Zaid meets with Zex and Elev, who has Scheherazade and Prometheus. This is Catra's dad. Someone activates Scheherazade. It happens to be a young Catra. He is a master pilot at a young age. Elev chases in Prometheus, but Catra forces him to fight and not hold back. Elev breaks apart the cruciform Gatling gun into 4 molten shards. It detonates, creating a huge blast. AC-188 Summer. The Maxwell Church is burned to the ground. Duo returns to find Sister Helena, who dies in front of him. 245 people were killed, and this was referred to as the Maxwell Massacre. He thinks this was his fault for stealing a mobile suit. But the Maxwell Church has been a resistance hideout. Not too far away, Ainui is underground with the Zero System. A Tragos fires on the building, and it collapses in on itself. He is trapped under the rubble. The Zero System knew this attack was coming, but Ain ignored it. He thinks about Angelina before dying. The Zero System distributed itself into parts throughout the network, waiting to be awakened. AC 188, autumn. An uprising amongst the colonies began. Around this time is when Decky Barton started to hide in the shadows. It was Ein Yui and Zero keeping Barton in check, but now he is dead. Zex and Eliv have to return to Artemis Sidici for command. Zaid wants them to take Iria Winter with them to L1. There is an inter-colony student exchange ban, and he wants them to get Iria past the checkpoints. At Colony X18999, a group of Trogos are being used to conduct a coup. Septim gets word that the Specials are moving in to handle the situation. Trace launches alongside Noin and a Leo 3. We talked about the Leo Type 2, also known as Chimera, and the Leo Type 4, the Grief. But in between that was the Type 3, called the New Chimera. There isn't really any intel on this, besides having slightly improved performance over the Chimera. The Trogos are surrounded and were destroyed one by one. In the distance, Odin Lowe and Little Heero are watching the battle. They attack two soldiers. Odin takes one of their uniforms, while Little Heero grabs a cannon to take out the Trogos. Odin finds General Septim and aims his rifle, but a subordinate jumps in front of his commanding officer, taking the bullet. Odin runs away, but is shot in the thigh. Decky Barton tells Kance to retreat. He happens to be the one controlling the Trogos. The two are working together. This was the first inner workings of Decky Barton's plan for dominance over the Earth sphere. One of Trace's specials is overzealous and is knocked out. Little Heero gets on top of the mobile suit and fires his cannon. His target is a command post in a pillbox. Trace protects the post, but he is badly injured. Little Heero also failed his mission. Odin goes underground to find Decky Barton, who is the mastermind behind this. Luckily, Odin still has a backup ignition switch that blows up the command post. He didn't expect Decky to silence him, but he says, "No, this is revenge." And he shoots Odin. I must have missed this, but Decky Barton was by Hiroyui's side when he was assassinated. Barton took revenge for Hiroyui. Jr., aka Little Heero, finds Odin bleeding out. He tells the boy that being with him wasn't too bad, and passes away. He finds the detonator that Odin left. Odin Jr. presses the button and walks away. You're damn right Little Heero didn't look back at the explosion. Septim had to deal with putting out the fires. While walking away, Dr. J stepped out of the shadows and says, "Hey kid, wanna pilot a Gundam?" It really was that simple. MC 0022, next winter. While Relina continues looking over the files, Troa Phobos comes in with Prometheus and stops the transfer of Relina to the Confederacy. Heero tells Noin to call in the glass coffin. This is the codename for the Snow White transfer capsule. Heero is also a master at piloting presidential hovercrafts. Of course he is. He has to get closer to the capsule. Duo blocks their path in Scheherazade. While all this is going down, Relina continues with the files. AC 189, spring. In a cell next to Duo is Long Lao Ya. He talks to Duo about the burdens of destiny. Surviving the Maxwell massacre, he gives himself the persona, the god of death. Cordelia is reassigned to the barge. She is investigating the rebels. General Million Lytlehart designed the giant space fortress, the Peace Million, some time back. Cordelia believes that the rebels are trying to build this old design somewhere on the lunar North Pole. She asks for a reassignment to be delayed. On the moon, Mike Howard and Double D, now going as Professor G, is building the Peace Million. Mike Howard wonders where the funding is coming from and learns that it was money from Ein Yui left in his will to specifically build the Peace Million. So technically, Ein Yui is the reason for the Peace Million's existence. Mike built the Tallgeese, and Professor G built El Koenig. They take pride in their work, but both also seem to be stubborn. Zex and Eliv take Iria to the hospital on L1 to find that it was attacked. This is just like the fires that Zex saw in the same kingdom. They search around, finding any type of life. A flash of light blares through the building. It is a Leo Type 1 shining a light. It is Sally Poe, and she notices Iria. They seem to be friends. Sally had to join the military to survive in this colony. The lab was shut down after an explosion, and her mother disappeared. Decky Barton apparently funded Catherine Poe, but they didn't destroy this hospital. It was Neuenheim, Konzer. Disnoof attacked and kidnapped Catherine for cloning technology. After the kidnapping, they shifted focus on Mars terraforming. Humanity already knows of the rapid aging problem on Mars. The only way to fix this problem in AC 189 is to create a clone and harvest their organs. Did the writer just steal a plot from Michael Bay's The Island? Sally tells Iria that they were able to make two successful clones, Leia Barton and Odin Lowe Jr. Leia Barton is Marimea's mother, and we know the cloning didn't help because she passed away after her daughter's birth. Everything Catherine did was theoretical due to the ethical implications, but Decky Barton forced her hand. Neuenheim didn't get his hands on the clones, and they were kept with Barton. Zex and Eliv work with Sally to try to get her mother back. Dr. J shows little Heero a copy of himself. J is in possession of the little Heero clone. He says, "I don't plan on treating you like humans, and I only need one Gundam pilot. This is a fight to the death between you two." An explosion goes off. Long and Duo escape the prison. His two daughters help with the prison break. They jump out into space and are picked up by a shuttle. Duo decides to join Long on his journeys. He says good because they need to have a resolve for what's to come. But at least the pay's good. Duo is starting to admire Long. And that will do it for this episode. As we approach the end of this series, we are finally starting to connect the dots. The cloning technology was originally created to help Leia Barton. It is also subtly mentioned that the rebels can't grow to defeat the Alliance, because Dekim Barton keeps taking their men. He is slowly building up his own army, which will eventually show itself during Endless Waltz. This series is starting to get interesting. Only took 1,000 pages. Next time, we conclude Volume 12. Heero continues running while Relina finishes the perfect Zex files. A young no-name, aka Troa Barton, makes his appearance. And Cordelia investigates the Peace Million, only to miss something hidden in plain sight. But that will do it for now, losers. Remember, if you're going to steal from a Michael Bay movie, The Island is probably the best. You think you're gonna get a good quote out of a Transformers movie? I don't think so. Peace.